Namaskar friends. In the previous video, we discussed about the rebirth of the people with sattva intelligence and rajas intelligence and the people who are pious, whose deeds are good and who want to proceed on the path of spiritual enhancement. Now in this video, we are going to discuss what happens to the people. Where do the people with Tamas intelligence have their rebirth? What happens to them after death? So we continue with references from Shrimad Bhagavad Gita and Garud Puran. अनेक चित्त विभ्रांता मोहजाल समावता प्रसक्ता काम भोगेषु पतंती नरके आशुचो. Completely disillusioned, well trapped in the net of attachments, and always remaining extremely engaged in fulfilling the desires. Such people, they fall into horrible hells. The people who are disillusioned, who are trapped in the attachments, who are always engaged in fulfilling the desires, such people fall into hell. आत्मसंभाविता शब्दा धनमान मदान्विता यजन्ते नाम्य गैस्ते दम्भे न विधिपूर्वकम. The people who consider themselves as the elevated ones, who are obstinate, who are drowned in their own pride of their wealth and status, and who perform yagnas out of arrogance. Continuing, अहंकारम बलम दर्पम काम क्रोधम च संश्रिता मामात्म परदेहेषु प्रद्विषंतो आभ्यसूयका. Those who take shelter in egotism, power, pride, desires, and anger, those who find faults in the qualities of others and find faults in me, Bhagavan Krishna, who resides in all the living beings. Continuing again, तानहम दुषता क्रूरान संसारेषु नराधमान क्षिप्पाम्य जस्त मशुभाना सुरेश्वेव योनिषु. Such persons who have hatred for the world in their minds and are of treacherous nature. In the last three verses, the people I have been describing, and the people who have hatred for the world and are treacherous, Bhagavan says that he sends those lowly and inauspicious persons into demonic yonis, birth canal. Again, they are horrible hells. Bhagavan further describes, Asurim yonima panna mura janmani janmani mam prapya konte tato yante dhamam gatim. O son of Kunti, such foolish persons, they do not reach unto me, and birth after birth they go into the demonic life forms and even lower life forms and to the horrible hell. So, traveling into the lower life forms of insects, plants, and animals and birds and demonic life forms, what happens after that? अधस्तान्नरलोकस्य यावतीर्यातनादया क्रमशः समनुक्रम्य पुनरुत्र वैजच्छुषि. Suffering in all the lower life forms. Friends, note that all the lower life forms, they are primarily suffering on this earth. The animals, the birds, insects, they have to live in the open. They have to go through suffering through the heat, through the winters, through the snow, through deserts. They live in open in rain. They can't do anything. They have to live like that. So suffering in all these lower life forms, than that of the humans. Sinful persons, such sinful persons get purified and again take birth in this Mrityu or earth. Friends, going through the births in the lower life forms slowly improves the intelligence. It purifies the intelligence through the suffering in the lower life forms. And after they have suffered for thousands and thousands and millions of years, they again take birth as a human on this earth. तस्याक्षयं फलं भुक्त्वा तैत्रे वोत्पद्यते पुनः यमाज्ञया महीं प्राप्य भवन्ति स्थावरादया. Suffering the results of those sinful deeds, they again take birth on earth as what? As immovable life forms. What are immovable life forms? The plants and trees and other similar life forms, the lower life forms of insects, birds, and animals. One describes what are the lower life forms. वृक्ष गुल्म लतावल्ली गिरियश तिरानी च स्थावरा इति विख्याता महामोह मावृता कीटाश पशवश्च पक्षिणश्च जलेचरा चतुर्शीति लक्षेषु कथिता देवी योनया. Plants and trees, mountains and the grass have been defined as the immovable life form. And they are into these life forms because they have been engrossed with extreme indulgence. The other life forms of insects, birds, animals, and life forms of living beings in the water and devtas, inclusive of all of these life forms, there are 8.4 million life forms. Out of this, humans is just one. एता सर्वा परिभ्रम्य ततो यान्ति मनुष्यतां मानेषु अपि स्वपाकेषु जायन्ते नरकागता तत्रापि पापचिहस्ते भवन्ति बहुदुःखिता गलत्कुष्ठाश्च जन्मान्धा महारोग समाकुला भवन्ते एवं नरा नार्यं पापचिह्नोपलक्षिता. Having taken birth as all of these life forms, the soul gets the human life form ultimately again. In this too, those who have elevated from the life forms from the hells, they take birth in the homes of despicable families, poor families, and among those too, many are infected with diseases such as leprosy, some are born blind, some are infected with incurable diseases, and in this manner, the signs of previous sins are visible in men and women. So, if you see people with such signs, you can determine that they have come from the hells, the human life form. समुत्पत्तिर्विनाशश्च जायते स्वदेहिनाम् एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रं भूतग्रामे चतुर्विधे घटीयन्त यथा मर्त्या भ्रमति ममिमायया भूमौ कदाचिन्नरके कर्मपाश आवृता. In this manner, all living beings are subjected to birth and death. Such a cycle of birth continues in all four types of creation. Because of the illusions created by me, a soul continues to travel in lower or upper life forms. Bound by the trap of karma, they continue to take birth in the hells or on this earth. I think this explanation is self explanatory. And the most important thing is that such cycles of birth and death are there in all four types of creation. And because of the illusions created by Bhagavan, the soul continues to travel in upper or lower life forms. The trap of karma is such that they continue to take birth in the heaven or hell in this universe. जाति शतेषु लभते भुवि मानुषत्वं तत्रापि दुर्लभतरं खलु भवदुजितं यस्तन्न पालयति लालयतीन्द्रियाणि तस्यामृतं शरति हस्तगतं प्रमादात्. Crossing hundreds of life forms, the soul gets the rare life form of a human being. Even after getting the life form of a human being, living to be a pious person is even more rare. First of all, being born as a human is very rare, and then performing deeds which are good, the pious deeds, is even more rare. And even after being pious person, if he does not perform the required necessary Vedic practices and continues to satisfy his senses, he loses the rare opportunity because of the negligence. So, what does this mean? That it is not enough that you are a good person and a pious person. It is important and it is required that you perform the Vedic practices as well, which we'll describe in the section on practices. It is important to perform those practices because otherwise the opportunity of reaching the abode of God Almighty is gone because of this negligence. So, performance of Vedic practices is also necessary in life. ततस्तां वृद्धतां प्राप्य महाव्याधि समाकुला मृत्युं प्राप्य महद् दुःखं नरकं याति पूर्ववत् एवं गता गते कर्मपाशैर्बद्धाश् पापिनः कदापि न विरज्यन्ते मम माया विमोहिता. After having reached the old age, engrossed and suffering with various diseases, the person dies and goes to the hells again. And in this manner, trapped in the cycle of birth and death, bounded by the stranglehold of karma, the sinful getting deluded by my illusions never reach the point of salvation. Friends, in this video, I think now you must be clear as to what is the gati, what is the destination of souls performing various type of karma, performing good karma, performing bad karma. In the chapter on karma, we had discussed that performing good karma leads to higher universes, performing bad karma leads to the hells, into the lower life forms, being born as. This, in essence, is how the soul travels between the universes, between the hells, between the different life forms. So with this we go to the next video.